Eileen Gu learned of grandmother's death after winning Olympic gold. Inspired me so much. Eileen Gu arrived a few minutes late to her celebratory press conference on Sunday, first having to address a deeply personal matter. The 22-year-old Gu, American-born but competing for her mother's homeland of China, learned that her grandmother, Guo Jinfeng, had passed away shortly after she captured a record-breaking third Olympic gold medal in freeskiing. She was a steamship, Gu told reporters while fighting through tears. This woman commanded life, and she grabbed it by the reins, and she made it into what she wanted it to be. Gu explained that she looked up to her grandmother immensely, often taking pages from her book in her approach to skiing and life at large. She inspired me so much, Gu said. The last time I saw her before I came to the Olympics, she was very sick, so I knew that this was a possibility. I didn't promise her that I was going to win, but I did promise her that I was going to be brave. She's been brave. On Sunday, Gu delivered on her promise, and then some. She successfully defended her Olympic ski halfpipe title to win her third gold medal and sixth overall medal in 6 events over her Winter Olympics career, already the most decorated freeskier in the sport's short history. I'm really happy that I was able to uphold that promise, she said, and hopefully I made her proud. Gu also won 2 silver medals at the Milan Cortina Games, to go along with a pair of golds and a silver from the Beijing Games in 2022. Eileen Gu learned of grandmother's death after winning Olympic gold. She inspired me so much. On a freezing February morning in Beijing, the world watched as a young skier soared through the sky. Snow sparkled beneath the bright lights, cameras flashed, and millions of viewers held their breath as Eileen Gu completed the final trick of her run. When she landed, perfectly balanced, the crowd erupted. The scoreboard confirmed it moments later, Olympic gold. For most athletes, that moment is the peak of a lifetime of work, a dream realized after years of sacrifice, early mornings, and relentless training. For Eileen Gu, it was all of that and more. But what the world didn't know at that moment was that a profound personal story would soon unfold behind that golden victory. Because shortly after winning Olympic gold, Eileen learned heartbreaking news. Her beloved grandmother had passed away. Yet the story that followed was not only one of grief, it was also a story about love, inspiration, and the invisible support that shapes champions. The making of a champion. Before she became an Olympic champion, Eileen Gu was already a rising star in the world of freestyle skiing. Born in San Francisco to a Chinese mother and an American father, Gu grew up navigating 2 cultures. Her mother introduced her to skiing at a very young age, taking her to Lake Tahoe where she first discovered the thrill of gliding down snowy slopes. But while skiing quickly became a passion, her life was never limited to sports. Eileen was known as a multifaceted prodigy. She excelled academically, later gaining admission to Stanford University, and also pursued modeling and public speaking. Her ability to balance these worlds made her one of the most fascinating young athletes on the global stage. Yet behind every athlete is a support system. For Eileen, one of the most important figures in that system was her grandmother. A grandmother's influence. Family has always been central to Eileen Gu's life. Her grandmother, who lived in Beijing, was more than just a family member. She was a source of encouragement, wisdom, and emotional grounding. Whenever Eileen visited China, time with her grandmother became some of her most cherished moments. They shared meals, stories, laughter, and traditions. Even when they were far apart, her grandmother remained deeply supportive of Eileen's ambitions. For a young athlete navigating international competitions, cultural expectations, and the pressure of global attention, having that steady presence mattered more than words could express. Eileen often spoke about how much her grandmother meant to her. She represented heritage, family pride, and unconditional love. And in many ways, that love helped shape the champion the world came to know. The Olympic moment. The 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing carried special significance for Eileen. Competing on Chinese soil, she represented China in freestyle skiing, a decision that sparked intense global discussion and media attention. But for Eileen, the Olympics were deeply personal. It was not just about medals. It was about representing both sides of her identity and sharing her love for skiing with the country where her family roots ran deep. When the moment of competition arrived, the pressure was enormous. Millions watched as she prepared for one of the most important runs of her life. But when Eileen pushed off from the starting point, everything else seemed to dissipate. There was only the snow, the rhythm of the course, and years of training guiding every movement. Her performance was spectacular. With technical precision and fearless creativity, she executed her tricks flawlessly. When she crossed the finish line, she knew she had done something extraordinary. Moments later, it became official. Eileen had won Olympic gold. A joyful celebration. Victory at the Olympics brings an explosion of emotion. Teammates cheer. Coaches celebrate. Family members watch with tears in their eyes. For Eileen, the joy of winning was immense. She smiled widely as the cameras captured her moment of triumph. Around the world, fans celebrated her achievement and praised her incredible talent. But the celebration carried a quiet emotional weight that she had not yet realized. Soon after her victory, Eileen received news that would change the meaning of that day forever. The heartbreaking news. After the medal ceremony and the whirlwind of interviews, Eileen learned that her grandmother had passed away. The news was devastating. In the midst of what should have been one of the happiest moments of her life, she was suddenly confronted with deep personal loss. The woman who had supported her for years, who had watched her grow, who had been so proud of her journey, was gone. For a moment, the triumph of gold felt bittersweet. But even in grief, Eileen found clarity about what her grandmother had meant to her. She inspired me so much. In interviews after learning the news, Eileen spoke openly about her grandmother's influence. She inspired me so much, she said. Those simple words carried enormous emotion. Her grandmother had represented strength, warmth, and the deep connection between generations. Winning gold in Beijing, the city where her grandmother lived, suddenly felt even more meaningful. It was as if the victory had become a tribute, a final gift, a moment of pride that her grandmother could feel, even if she was no longer physically present. Grief and gratitude. For many athletes, the Olympic podium represents the culmination of years of effort. But for Eileen, that moment became something deeper. It became a reminder of why we pursue our dreams, not only for ourselves, but also for the people who believe in us, the mentors, the parents, the grandparents, the quiet supporters who celebrate every small step along the way. Even in loss, Eileen expressed gratitude for the love she had received from her grandmother throughout her life.